Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Friday in the Villages, and this is level 3. Now, the object of level 3 is to just, first of all, get our fingers comfortable on the keys, and hopefully we're starting to play with two hands at this time, but I'm also starting to give you some easy arrangements, meaning what can we do to take this song and make it sound good on your particular instrument? That's what level 3 is about, to get started with some easy arrangements. And then when you come to the more advanced classes that I do Monday and Wednesday, that's when I start pushing you into some harder things, some challenges. But remember, even at level 3, you can still go to my advanced classes because everything I do is optional. Everything extra that I put in is optional. It's just to push you just a little bit, to always give you a little bit of a challenge, whether it be a new chord, whether it be something new to try on your instrument, whether it be saving presets, whatever it is. It's always something to just keep you learning, learning, learning. And that's what's so wonderful about music, is that we're always learning something. All right, so what do we know about Sing? It's on page 84 of book number 15. It was written in 1971 by Joe Raposo for the TV show Sesame Street in 1973. Now, that kind of threw me for a loop. I did not know it was written for Sesame Street. I thought it was just done on Sesame Street and that the Carpenters had already sung it. But no, it was exactly the opposite. It was written for Sesame Street, and then the Carpenters made it a number 3 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and number 1 on the Easy Listening chart. And it became the group's 7th gold single. Hey, Bill, how are you? It's this one. It does happen to be that one. Yep. Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. But doesn't it seem like it's super, yeah, just super kind of floppy loosey? Yep. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, Sing, let's do the road map first. So if we do the road map, we have our Fix-It man here. So that's why you might be hearing some extra things in the background here. And that's why, because he's going to be working on an organ right behind me. Let's work on the road map. Follow the lyrics. It takes you to, oh, wow. All the way on page 85, I see some repeat dots that go this way. That means go right through it. At the end, you have the repeat dots going in the opposite direction. So you want to make that a color. And then you're only going back to the repeat dots the next line up. So nothing too hard here. Nothing too hard. Now, if you wanted to go back and play the whole song again, you could. But when you end the song, you want to do that last line and a half and just repeat it over and over again until you fade it out. Up here comes Fred. We've got to let Fred in. And I do have a couple of extra chords for you. And again, they are optional. People who had me for this song in the past, I am redoing the chords a little bit. I found a different arrangement, and so some of your chords might be different from the first time I gave this to you. No worries. You can try the new chords or keep the old chords, whichever ones you like the best. So absolutely no worries. Okay. Let's do the new chords first. The C is good for one measure. Measure 2, over that whited in half note, put in a C major 7, C capital M-A-J 7, and your 2 notes on that, now that's an optional chord. The rules for making a major 7 is the letter -1. It's going to be right next door. So a C7 is going to be C and B. Let's just get the easy button here. I like to play it here. I like to play it pinky and thumb because that way your hand is staying in that little area. If you really want to do B and C, I won't look, but I suggest that if you're going to do the major 7, you play it with the C with your pinky and your B with the thumb. The D minor right next door there, you can put a 7 on it if you wish. Remember, 7s are always optional. The D minor is D and F, 2 and 4, and then if you want to add the 7, it is the C. C, D, F. Line 2, the C chord is good for 2 measures. Measure 3, over the B flat for the word strong, put in a G minor or a G minor 7. Now, G minor is the hardest chord you actually have to play because it pulls your hand a little bit out of position. You're going to put your pointer on G and your thumb on the B flat. That one, just, you have to take that pointer and push it over to the G. Now, if you want to play the 7, you're going to play F, G, and B flat. So now you got to change your third finger from the E to the F. So if G minor is a struggle, just play G minor and don't worry about the 7. Line 2, fourth measure, over that whited in whole note, put a C7 back in. C7 is C and B flat. And again, I prefer that you play it in this wide position, pinky on C, thumb on B flat. Now, what's the difference between C7 and C major 7? C7 is a lead-in chord or a moving chord. If you listen to it, your ear is waiting for the next chord. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an F. And aha, it most certainly is. A major 7 is a jazz chord. You can start a song with a major 7, end a song with a major 7. You cannot end a song with a 7 because it always is leading your ear to the next chord. So here's the C7. Here's the C major 7. Ooh. Yeah. That's a spicy chord. I like it. Let's go to the third line. The F is good for 1 measure. Measure 2 over the A for the word good. Put in an F major 7, capital M-A-J 7. Again, the rule for that is the letter minus 1. So 2 keys right next to each other, E and F. The C chord at the end of the line is perfect for those 2 measures. That's it. The next line, cross out the D and replace it with A minor, alligator minor, or A minor 7. Remember, the 7s are optional. So C and A, play it in that wide position. And if you wish to play the 7, it is C, G, and A. And you can actually use your thumb to play both the G and the A at the same time. Fourth line, measure 2 over the C quarter note for happy. Put in a D7, C and D, or just play plain old D. Next measure, cross out the G and replace it with D minor or D minor 7, dinosaur minor, D and F, for 1 measure. The last measure of that line, put in a G7. Put that one back in. Line 5, the C is good for 1 measure. Second measure, over that whited in half note, put a C major 7, capital M-A-J 7. And your 2 notes again are C chicken and B butterfly. The D minor is fine. You may put a 7 on it if you wish. C, D, and F. Let's go to the second page. The C chord is good for 1 measure. The second measure over the G quarter note for the word last, make it a C major 7, capital M-A-J 7. If you only learn 1 chord, you're 100% successful, so just pick 1. The F, you may cross it out, and we're going to replace it with a D minor, D and F, for 2 counts, And in the middle of the measure, if you wish, you may turn it into a D minor 7, C, D, and F. So you'd be going from this, you're just going to add the C, and it just makes a subtle change. Line 2, first measure. Over that whited in dotted half note, put an E elephant or an E7, D and E. Cross out the C in the next measure and replace it with A minor. C and A. The next measure you have an E. Now I'm going to give you a choice. You can play E. You can play E7, which is D and E. Or you can play E augmented 7. And there's two different ways to play that. You can play it E, G sharp, C. Or you can put the C on the bottom, C, E, G sharp, but then it's going to read in the window C augmented. It's the same tonality, you're just getting a different bass note. If you add the fourth finger, it now becomes an E augmented 7, which would be the D. And then it will read E7 augmented in your window. C, D, E, G sharp, or D, E, G sharp, C, and put that on top. Whichever one is the easiest for you. Or just play E. No worries. Third line, the A minor, you may put a 7 on it. C, G, and A. The D7 is good, C and D. Cross out the G in the next measure and replace it with D minor or D minor 7, C, D, F. The next measure over that whited in half note, now put your G or G7 back in, Gorilla 7. Next line, the C chord is good for one measure. In the middle of the next measure, beat 3, put a G7. That's just a lead-in chord to get you to the next C chord, and it just gives you a little bit of motion while you are holding that long note. Now, the other thing you can do if you don't feel like playing in that chord, you can just use your fill-in or one of these. Those work too. On the la-la-las, the C chord is good for one measure. Let's go to the last line of the song. First measure over the G for da. That's going to be a C major 7. C and B. Chickens and butterflies. Next measure, cross out the F and replace it with D minor, dinosaur minor, for 2 counts. Beat 3 over the F for la. G7, gorilla 7, F and G. And we're going to repeat those 2 chords in the last measure. So cross out the G7 and replace it with D minor, D and F for 2 counts, and beat 3, put in the G7. So you're just going back and forth between D minor and G7. Okay. Let's do some fingering. Remember, fingering, do it in pencil because your fingers might not like what mine do, and then you can change it and do what's better. Yes.
Could you repeat the third line on the second page?
Yes.
For your
yes.
chords.
Third line, page 2, the A minor may have a 7. C, D, and C, G, A. Then the D7 is fine. Third measure, cross out the G and replace it with D minor, dinosaur minor, or dinosaur minor 7, C, D, F. And the last measure over that whited in half note, beat 1, G7, F and G.
Right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, good. Let's go on to fingering.
How about the second line? I think I got that one.
Second line of the second page?
Yes, please.
Okay, the second line of the second page. Measure 1, the first measure, E7 on the first beat. Elephant 7, D and E. Second measure, cross out the C and replace it with A minor, C and A. And the last one can be an E7, an E augmented, or an E7 augmented. So 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, or 4 fingers, you choose. Here's an E, here's an E7, D and E. The E augmented is E, G sharp, and C, chicken. And then if you do the 4 fingers together, you can do D, E, G sharp, and C, all 4 at the same time. And the C can go on the bottom as well.
Would you repeat the last measure again, please?
Yes, E augmented.
No,
Or
the
E7. The last,
at the end of the song.
the last measure at the end of the song where it says repeat and fade, cross out the G and replace it with D minor, dinosaur minor for 2 counts. And beat 3 is a G7, F and G.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, ready for fingering? All right, here we go. E1, E1, G3, F2. At the end of that held F, put a check mark because you're at the end of a sentence. Sang a song. F quarter note is a 1. A3, second line G2. At the end of that held G, check mark. The G quarter note, make it a 1. C4, B flat 3. At the end of that held B flat, check mark again. Little phrases. Line 3, A3, 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 C5, E1, G2. At the end of that held G, check mark. Redo your finger position. Line 4, C3, 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 high E5, low D1. The F can either be 2 or 3, whichever one gets there first. No problems, no worries. Last line on that page, E1, E1, G3, F2. At the end of that held F, check mark. The F quarter note is a 1, A3, top of the second page, G2, G2, A3, put an arrow on this next G and make it a 1. You're going to have your 3 on the A. You're going to want to squinch up your fingers together and put a 1 on the G. C is 2, high F is 5, E is 4, and D is 3. Now, if you can come up with a better way of doing it, erase mine and put your own in. No worries. Second line, C2, E4, E4, D3, C2, D3, E4, D3, C2, D3. Third line, E4, E4, D3, C2, B1, A2. Circle the 2 that says that you're going to do a crossover, crossing that pointer over. Then the G whole note is a 1. G1, D5. Fourth line, C4. Check mark at the end of that held C. Now we're going to do the la la do la la das. And it's G4, G4, E2, G4, A5, E2, and the last line, G4, G4, E2, G4, A5, check mark. Notice there is a comma, so it's okay to take a breath and move your hand. The E is a 4, F5, 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 E4, D3, so that you can reach all the way down to that low G with a 1. Got it? Okay. This is in song setup in most of your instruments. It comes up with the harmonic hats at 130. It also comes up in some of the bigger organs at cab driving, 130 with the alter style. So I'm going to play it with the harmonic hats, and it gives it a lot of piano strings, top and bottom. That must be the sound of the day. Now, I also have written, for those of you that have my printout sheet, it says 110 is better. So yeah, usually practicing at a slower speed is better. I'm going to play it at 130, but when we practice it together, we're most definitely going to slow it down. Oops, I wanted to put the intro on. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to take it a lot slower than that, and then you just fade it out. Now, this just needs anything that's going to be bouncy. So don't worry too much about which background you have. As long as it's not a waltz, you're going to be fine. And it's just a fun, upbeat type of a song. So it's a feel-good song. It's going to make you feel like singing. You may also play it on other things. On the sheet, I have standard swing time at 110. That, I believe, is on the Freedom 3. Country full band, which is also your Roadhouse. Yeah, it's perfect on country. And smooth, now your smooths, you don't want to up it to 110, 130, because then it sounds really crazy. So you want to cut that time in half and play double time. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. If I go to Easy 4/4, which is same as your smooth full band, and play it at 130, it's going to sound like this. That's a little crazy. So you want to divide that in half. So half of that is 65. So I'm going to go to my keypad, and I'm going to type in 6, 5, touch my tempo button, or you could just do this, and it'll come down to. Now it sounds like this. But we're going to play it at 130. So you can use those smooths or soft and easies, but you have to use your ears and let it be the final judge. If you think it's going too frenetic and just too crazy, divide your tempo in half. Old army trick, yeah. And then play it in that double time so it sounds right. What else did I do this on? Gypsy Rag. Some of you have ragtime. Gypsy Rag is fabulous on this because it does give you that bounce. That works. Also, any of your, in that ragtime column, those of you that have ragtimes, try all of them because they all work. They're all going to be nice and bouncy. Nice and bouncy. And any of the presets that work for you, I put it on the piano and strings again. Actually, I think it's rhythm preset 0. That works very well. Birds bounce. How about some swing styles or some big band styles? Anything that bounces is going to work on this. Anything. See, this is what you're looking for, is that nice little bounce. Let's see. Fun song to work on. The extra chords, like I said, if you don't like them or they're giving you a foxtrot tap, yes, absolutely. Tap soft shoe is fabulous. Your foxtrots are also going to give you some of those bouncy rhythms. We could sit here all day and play sing on all the bouncy rhythms that we have. So use what makes you feel good. And always, when you are working on a song, I always start with song setup first, just to see if it's there, because it's a good suggestion. And listen to it in YouTube so you get an idea of what it should sound like if you're not familiar with the song. Otherwise, just remember how you remember it being done. If you don't like what's in song setup, the next thing to do is put your rhythm preset back on. Don't forget to do that. And then start on the left-hand side of your instrument and choose a band. Choose a music style. That's the first thing. Then you try all of your rhythm presets to see which couple of them you're going to really like. And it can just be one on top and one on bottom. That's all you need. Sometimes you can play the whole song just on one. But don't be afraid to go up and down the line and try some of the other sounds. Make sense? Yeah. Anything that's bouncy. Anything is going to work. And what I actually have here is layer two sounds together for fuller sound. Yeah, if you're on a smaller instrument, that's a good way, once you have your band chosen or your music style, if you've got, like a clarinet over here, you might want to layer that with something else. You might want to layer it with a saxophone and see what you get. Try layering two sounds together and see what kind of fun designs you can make. Or like one of my customers used to say, the recipe. What kind of a recipe do you want to make for this song? And if you find something good, do one of two things. If you're in a larger instrument, save it to a preset so you've got it. And you can play it again tomorrow. If you're on a smaller instrument, just take some notes and take them in pencil, because you might change your mind tomorrow. Or use a sticky note. Use a sticky note, because then you can change it up anytime you want. So this is a fun song to start learning how to choose different things on your instrument. Remember, always start left, move over to the right. If you can't find anything here, then we start looking at these. But normally there's so many fabulous things in your presets that you don't have to even go any further. Any questions so far? Nope. If you've got your instrument or your device close to your organ, we're going to play together. Make sure you're muted. Make sure you're only on easy. Once you leave from me, then you can try any music style you like. But we're going to work on one of our backgrounds here. I think I'm going to use quick step. Why? Because I just like that bounce. But we're not going to play it at 130. We're going to slow it down. Let's slow it down to 90. All you need is easy and a sound. And we're going to play it together. Now, if you want to play one hand at a time, that's fine. If you want to try two hands together, absolutely. but make sure that you're just comfortable with getting your fingers on the keys. Okay, let's try this. I'm going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Change the chord. Three, 4, 1, 2. All right, we'll stop right there because actually that's the spot that if you wanted to repeat the whole song, that would be the place to go back and play the song again. And that would be the place where you would change a sound, change a preset, try some different things. You might even want to transpose up one because that would give you, the next step up. That's just another tool to put in your arranging toolbox and use it when you're playing your songs. Don't do it now because if you do it now, you're not going to be in the same key as me because I'm not going to do it. But that would just be another way to make it a little more interesting. See, you're starting to think like arrangers. That's what we're doing in this class.
Dawn,
Yeah.
what would be the key? C or F?
Which one do you think it is?
I think it's C.
It is C. Okay. Now, the rule is, that's actually a very good question. The last chord is usually the key of the song. But when you
Yeah.
have a repeat and fade, you're usually going to end with a lead-in chord that's going to take you back to the beginning of your fade position. So the end, without using those last two lines, what's your last actual chord? C. Now, I gave you that G7. It's an optional chord, by the way, because that's the lead-in chord to either take you to the la 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 la's or take you back to the beginning of the song and start again. This is actually in the key of C. So that means that if you're using an introduction, you would want to start with a C chord.
Okay.
Of course, I'm going so slow right now, it's not going to sound that good. But that's what you do. Let's try it one more time. This time we will play the la 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 la's. Let me count to 4. And if you played one hand, try playing the other hand this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Fade that out. Now, how do you fade out? If you have a larger instrument, you usually have a fade out button, or you can push two buttons together. Usually it's your intro ending or an intro ending and a start stop. If you push it together, it'll fade out. It'll say underneath it, fade. So it'll connect the two with little brackets, and it will say right on your organ, if you've got two buttons together, it'll say fade underneath it. So you just have to push the two together to fade out. Some of you have just a one button, and it will fade it out for you. Some of you don't have any buttons, so how do you fade it out? You have to just use your foot on that expression pedal and pull it back as far as it goes. And if you're still hearing sound, reach up to your master control and just bring that master control all the way down, and it will fade out for you. Just remember to put that master button back up when you go back to play. Otherwise, you're going to not have any sound, and you're going to wonder what happened. Any questions?
Dawn?
Yeah.
Yes. Repeat and fade. For the longest time, I was struggling to hit the intro to, for the intro to take it to a closure. And I thought that's stupid because when you hit the fade out, that ends the song.
Correct. You don't have to worry about touching an
And
ending button.
I'm thinking, well, how come it, I pushed intro, how come it didn't? Well, that was why.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
why.
When you push fade out, it ends it for you.
It
You don't
does.
need to use an ending.
Yeah.
Now, you can use a fade out with an ending as well. If you push
Okay.
ending and fade out, it'll still do it. It'll still fade out, but it'll fade out with your ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can do
Oh.
several different things.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week, what are we going to do? Oh, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Ooh, sexy song. Yeah. So we'll do that one next week. Don't forget, I always put a worksheet from this week's song on Patreon, and I then also put next week's song on Patreon. So if you feel like printing it out and doing your notes on that instead, please feel free to do that. I also explain which chords I'm using and how to make them. Now I know in Sing, I added today that E augmented, so it's not even on here. So hopefully you took some good notes on the E augmented. If you forget, email me. I'm more than happy to answer all your emails, so don't be afraid to do that. Now, Robert's got a concert going on this afternoon. I'm not in this one. I'm teaching a class this time around, but I'll be in next week's concert. He's doing time machine concerts, and everybody's going to play a song or two and let you know what happened during that year that the song actually came out. So it should be not only educational and fun, but it'll bring back some memories of what was going on at that time. And I checked out the list of who's playing and what songs, and it looks like it's going to be a fabulous concert. So 1 o'clock, it's on your emails, 1 o'clock Florida time, by the way. So it's on your emails. So attend the concert and just enjoy it. Next week it's going to be, I think, 2:15 Florida time, and it'll be the other set of staff that we have at Fletcher Music Centers, and we're all going to play a song or two, same thing, but it should all be different songs, and same thing, it's going to be tell you what's going on that year, what things were happening, bring back some good memories, and I think you'll enjoy both concerts tremendously. Any questions?
What's next week's song, Dawn?
Next week's song is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Don't forget also, yeah.
I said, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Don't forget, sign up for Dennisaw. Sign up for Dennisaw at your nearest store.
The concert is this afternoon at 1 o'clock
1 o'clock, yeah, yes.
on Friday.
It was just kind of an impromptu. He did not mention it really until this morning. So you should have gotten an email on it this morning.
You have to read those to get them.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I'm announcing it, so you guys can go on it and just enjoy. You guys are the bestest. Thank you so much.
You're the best.
Hi, Dawn.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.